Have you ever noticed how some people can be surrounded by friends, noise, and opportunity, yet still feel safe when they retreat into their thoughts? Like their real home is behind their eyes. Like the outside world is a crowded room, and their mind is the only quiet corner. Maybe you have seen it in yourself. You smile, you answer, you nod, you even laugh at the right moments. But inside, you are already gone. You are replaying what you should have said. You are forecasting what could go wrong. You are building a private room where nobody can reach you. If that is you, you are not broken. You are not cold. You are not too much in your head. You are someone whose nervous system learned a simple rule. Inside feels predictable. Outside feels uncertain. And when your brain is trying to protect you, predictability becomes comfort, even if it turns into a cage. Here is the psychology behind people who feel safer in their head, and why it can look like calm, but feel like hiding. 1. They learned early that feelings are easier to manage alone. Some people grew up in homes where emotions were ignored, mocked, or punished. Not always with shouting, sometimes with a sigh, a rolled eye, a quick change of topic. The lesson becomes silent but sharp. Don't bring your feelings into the room. So they adapt. They process privately. They rehearse what to say. They cry quietly. They train themselves to be low maintenance. This is emotional conditioning. Your brain pairs expression with danger and silence with safety. Over time, the mind becomes a shelter. Thoughts become the place you can finally be honest. You can admit you are scared, jealous, lonely, disappointed, without anyone interrupting, judging, or minimizing it. That is why they might journal at 2 a.m. and look composed at 2 p.m. That is why they can describe their pain in paragraphs in their notes, but answer, "I'm good," out loud. Their inner world is fluent. Their outer world is cautious. But the cost is sneaky. You get good at understanding yourself, yet you struggle to let yourself be understood. You can explain your emotions perfectly in your head. Then, the moment you speak, your throat tightens. That is not weakness. That is your body remembering old rules. 2. They use thinking as a shield against vulnerability. There is a reason people say, "I overthink." Overthinking is not just curiosity. It can be a defense. If you analyze everything, you never have to feel everything. This connects to emotional avoidance. Feelings are messy. They do not follow logic. They do not arrive on schedule. And for someone who has been hurt, feelings can feel like losing control. So the brain does what it is great at. It turns pain into a puzzle. It asks why, how, what if, and what does it mean? It creates stories, theories, and explanations, because explanations feel safer than uncertainty. You might notice it after a tough conversation. Instead of sitting with the sting, you start building a case in your head. You write a mental essay, you list evidence. You try to prove that you were right, or that they were unfair, or that you should never have trusted them. And yes, insight is powerful. But sometimes insight is a detour, because the truth is simple and scary. You felt rejected. You felt embarrassed. You felt small. And feeling small is the one thing your mind refuses to do in public. You can see this in relationships. They can talk for hours about psychology, personality types, attachment styles, childhood patterns. But when you ask, "What do you need right now?" they freeze, because needs require exposure. Thinking is a helmet. It protects your head, but it can also stop you from being held. And the irony is that the more intelligent you are, the more convincing the helmet feels. 3. Their imagination gives them control that real life cannot. Inside your head, you can rewrite scenes. You can replay conversations and finally say the perfect line. You can picture yourself confident, respected, untouchable. You can create a version of life where you are not misunderstood. This is not delusion. It is a coping strategy. Psychology calls it fantasy as regulation. When reality feels unsafe, the mind builds a safer reality. And it works, temporarily. It lowers stress. It soothes loneliness. It gives you a sense of agency. but it also sets a trap. Real life starts to feel slow, unpredictable, and disappointing compared to the world you can control. Then you start postponing action. You plan more than you do. You prepare more than you risk. Because planning gives a hit of safety. Action demands uncertainty. So you might research for months, but hesitate to apply. You might outline the business, but avoid the first call. You might imagine the relationship, but avoid the first honest talk. Your mind keeps saying, not yet. Not because you do not want it, because you want it so much that failure would hurt. This connects to loss aversion. The brain hates losing more than it loves winning. So it chooses a smaller pain now, like delay, to avoid a bigger pain later, like rejection. This is why some people have huge inner lives, creative ideas, deep insight, yet feel stuck. They are not lazy. They are guarded. Their mind became so safe that leaving it feels like stepping into cold water. 4. They read people well, because they are always scanning for danger. People who feel safer in their head are often very observant. They notice tone shifts, facial changes, the pause before a reply. They catch the microsigns. That can look like emotional intelligence, and sometimes it is. But sometimes it is hypervigilance, a nervous system trained to predict risk. If you had to manage someone else's moods growing up, you learned to track the room. If love felt conditional, you learned to perform. If conflict felt unsafe, you learned to avoid triggers. So your brain stays on watch. You stay in your head because you are monitoring the outside. You are calculating outcomes. You are preparing for disappointment. You might walk into a room and instantly feel like you are taking a test. Are they bored? Are they annoyed? Are you talking too much? Did you look awkward? Should you leave early so you do not overstay? This links to cognitive biases like negativity bias and confirmation bias. When you expect rejection, you look for proof. When you look for proof, you find it faster, even in neutral moments. And this is how safety becomes isolation. You keep your distance not because you do not care, but because caring feels risky. 5. They confuse peace with numbness. Here is the part most people miss. Feeling safe in your head can feel like peace. Quiet, control, no drama, no chaos. But peace is not the same as numbness. Numbness is when you stop expecting good things, so you stop being disappointed. You stop asking, so you stop being refused. You stop hoping, so you stop being hurt. This is learned helplessness in a softer outfit. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind. The kind where you tell yourself, I'm fine, while your life gets smaller. You become the person who is always okay with anything. Any plan, any decision, any treatment. Because having preferences feels like inviting conflict, and conflict feels like losing safety. So you retreat to the mind again. You scroll. You daydream. You dissociate. You feel busy inside, but distant outside. And the mind loves this because it feels stable. But stability without connection becomes emptiness. So how do you tell the difference? Peace leaves you open. Numbness leaves you closed. Peace makes you present. Numbness makes you disappear. Now, if you recognize yourself in this, do not shame the part of you that retreats. That part was trying to keep you alive, emotionally. It learned what worked, but you can upgrade the strategy. Start small. Share one true sentence with someone safe. Not a speech, just one sentence. I've been carrying a lot. I felt hurt when that happened. I don't know what I need, but I know I'm not okay. Then notice what your body does. The tight chest, the racing thoughts, the urge to laugh it off, the urge to change the topic. That is your nervous system learning new evidence. And here is a simple trick from cognitive behavioral therapy. Replace mind reading with asking. Instead of guessing what they think, ask what they meant. Instead of assuming you are too much, ask if you are understood. Do it anyway, because real safety is not never being hurt. Real safety is knowing you can be hurt and still be held, still recover, still return to yourself. The goal is not to leave your head. The goal is to stop using your head as a bunker. If your mind has been your home for a long time, you do not have to burn the house down. Just open a window. Let fresh air in. Let connection in. One moment at a time. If this felt like someone described you, stay close. Subscribe for more psychology that feels personal, not preachy. And if you want to be brave today, share this with the one person who makes you feel safe enough to be real. Because you deserve a life that is not only understood in your head, but also felt in your hands, your voice, and your relationships.